G'day, guys. Round 4 with Trader Ferg. How you going, Ferg?
Yeah, good. Good to be back.
Back in Bali, mate?
Yep. No, I've been back in Bali for 2 weeks now. Yeah, even though it's been just over 2 weeks. Yeah, has been a great return with just a revolving door with sickness. Yeah, got
Oh, yeah,
got
same here.
laid out for nearly a week with flu, and then gave it to my wife and the nanny. And so as I was coming out of it, took down the rest of the crew. So then got landed with the bub. So
Well, it's just how it
we've been,
works, isn't it?
we've been cruising around for weeks. So yeah, not much has got done.
Been the same. Been a bit crook here. There's like a version of Bali Belly going around Buenos Aires. Bad
Yep.
meat or something, I don't know. Bad steak somewhere, and it's knocked me out for a few days. So just coming
Yep.
right today, but pretty rough. Few days in bed. Yeah, on the mend though, on the antibiotics, and off to San Juan tomorrow for a little site visit to an exploration project, which should be very interesting.
Nice. It's good that you got those gigs going. Yeah, I'll be interested to hear how it goes. Start bouncing around. Yeah.
It's completely random. I don't even know what to make of all of it. Yeah, it just sounds fun. Basically, pay my own flights to get to San Juan, which is like 2-hour flight to the Andes. Then they pick me up, drive me to this like beautiful little town in San Juan, like in the Andes, like perfect little like snow-capped mountains. Looks like something out of Europe. And then stay there for a night and then drive all day to the drill rig where they've got a diamond drill rig drilling at like 4,000 meters altitude or something. So it'd be bloody cool to check out.
Nice. Yeah, I'll be interested to hear about it. After.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually looking forward to reporting back on it. It's just, something completely random, but something I'm not going to say no to.
Oh, good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, mate. I saw back to Bali. I saw they're building like another big beach club right in front of Contrarian there. You know, in Echo Beach.
Oh,
That's so annoying because I bloody used to love that beach. It had the old surfers bar there, and it had like you get a dollar coconut and all that, and it's just getting completely wiped out by the look of it.
Yeah, we're gonna have to run up the coast again. Wife and I, like Mira and I, are already talking that we've probably overdone it with even our new place. We've been here, so it's a 3-year lease, and we're one and a bit year in, and we're already like probably want to leave within the next year. It's just once all those, so it's a potato head, so it's like a monster big sort of a beach club. Once they start building that, that's going to be like
it's a potato head, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a potato head. Yeah,
so just another like potato head, exactly like so.
Yep.
170 like money, and geez.
Yeah. So the roads can't take it. So once and there's just been it's like a 220 room hotel has just opened, and so that all hotel guests generally don't use scooters that much, so they all taxi in and out. Then it's a little two-lane road down Prairie, and it's not going to handle all the construction trucks and all the. So yeah, we're probably looking to hop up the coast again. Like it seems like we're always running away from it, so we'll probably go another few k's up and try and get some peace and quiet. Yeah,
it's gonna be pretty far from your jiu-jitsu place, isn't it? So
they just opened one just down the road. So that is what's keeping me here, is I can literally walk to a new one that so the brothers that I've trained under the whole time, they went separate ways, and one is opening a new gym that's literally just around the corner. I could walk.
Oh, really?
Go get a coffee.
How you going with jiu-jitsu? How's the body feeling? Because it's bloody hard on your body. From everyone I've listened to that's ever done it, just say your body just like gets to a point where it just starts to, I don't know, almost just get frequently injured and super hard on it. Are you finding any of that? Or?
Yep. Finding all of that. So yeah, especially our gym, because our gym in particular has, so it's like a proper fighters gym. So there's like the whole building next door is just there's guys that want to make it from around Indonesia. They come, they get like a bunk bed, and then they just live in the gym and fight all day. And then you've also got that angle from guys that want to make it into the one competition, which is like the Indonesian UFC. And they're coming over from Russia, from all the like the stans. So, and these guys are all just like, they just lived and breathed it. And then, so this is me turning up as this like, like,
mate, I can imagine you giving them a pretty good run for their money.
a passionate amateur that,
very passionate.
The coaches always point them to me to like, have like a hard role, and I'm just turning up after like, not letting the dad bod kick off. So anyway, the long story short, I blew my ACL last year. I've like cranked my neck. So it's all turned to everything's like kind of almost prevention now. Like I'm doing lots of, there's this guy knees over toes, like trying to strengthen all your ligaments and joints, doing lots of like neck exercises just to try and hold myself together. Gone from like more like doing fitness for more like sort of just all around strength, and now just trying to strengthen everything so that I can keep doing this into my 50s and 60s. Oh, and the other thing I should have mentioned is like, there's like so much like kind of like substance abuse with all these guys as well. So
they're just juicing it.
They're juicing, and like I'm like one good roll with some of these guys and I'm done, and I watch them do like the next like 2 classes and then come back and do like a weights workout at night. I'm just like, oh my God.
I remember seeing that when I was there a couple of years ago at Soma Fight Club. You get these Russians coming over and they'd just be like MMA pros, and then just the intensity and the size of them, I was just like, that's not natural. They're definitely juicing. But
no. So anyway, it's an ongoing, but I love it. Yeah.
Still loving it.
My biggest passion.
Still training, still lifting weights around it, or you've basically just committed to everything jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
Remember you're throwing kettlebells?
Yeah, my whole room, I've got a 36 kg kettlebell. I've got it like this. The rest of this office is all the weight room. Got like a power station in the corner now. Got a whole lot of like crazy stuff. And whenever like Hugo wakes up, sort of after 6, usually crank the aircon, come up in here, and he's got his toys on the carpet, and I'm trying to knock out some kettlebell swings or some pull-ups, or do some stuff for my knees. So that's been the routine. He sometimes works out with me when I'm doing squats. He like bangs out a few nappy to the ground squats as well.
A few deep squats. The gyms over here, mate, are so terrible. You would hate them. They're just full of like, it's just constant rush hour for some reason because there's not enough of them, and the quality is just really poor. Like all the equipment's, they just can't import anything international, so they just do like fixer-up jobs on all this equipment they've imported years ago and just keep it running, and it's all just dated and it doesn't work half the time. And it's one of the worst things about Buenos Aires is the gyms suck, and it's actually Latin America in general. So but make do with what I got. Obviously gym membership is super cheap. I don't think I'll pay any more than $15 a month for like one of the better quality ones here. But it's super disappointing, especially after Bali, where you've got just that like incredible gyms. You've got Body Factory and a couple of those. I think there's a couple others there that are just like unreal.
One just opened opposite us called Wrong Gym. I don't know who came up with the name, but it's like it's even top like Body Factory. It's like it's crazy like how much effort they've put into it. Like the place has got like a whole Japanese spa out the back with like just like kind of like a beautiful garden pool, and like 3 levels of just like top like equipment. But you pay for it as well. Like I think that like the monthly rate's like $200-300.
Yeah, right. It's expensive. I really miss the gyms in Bali. It's just but I actually miss the most is the saunas and the whole spa setups in Bali and Thailand. They're just incredible, where you just go into these different thermal saunas, then jump into the ice plunge, and then chill out with a drink next to the pool. It's a pretty good life, and something I haven't really seen in Latin America. There might be a bit of it in Mexico, but especially down here in the Southern Cone, nothing like that certainly doesn't exist. So yeah, it's one big thing I had to give up coming over here.
Yeah. What a sacrifice.
Plenty of steak.
I got sacrifice that to get good steaks back. Yeah. No, there's some serious steak inflation going on here. Yeah.
What are you paying for when you go out for like a steak at a restaurant? What do you pay for like a 400-gram steak or whatever you order?
Depends which place, but yeah, you're not getting it for under probably 400 grams. You'd be paying like somewhere close to $100 probably.
Shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so somewhere between like minimum would be probably be 60-70 bucks Aussie. Yeah.
Jeez, yeah.
For a four. Yeah.
Still not too bad. I think it's still definitely more in Australia from memory. But are you still going full carnivore? Are you just eating meat and very little else? Yeah. Maybe one that got me onto that initially. So yeah, sticking with it.
No. Yeah, I just feel great and I recover way quicker. Yeah. It's just part of the reason I've been able to stay in the game with jiu-jitsu, and also had like a few sort of allergies and stuff that all cleared up as soon as I got on that diet. So every time I kind of deviate from it too much, if we go on a holiday, I start going downhill. And then
really, you notice it?
Yeah. Like within like 2 weeks, notice just thinking, isn't as clear. Skin starts to like all start to go red in the face a lot more, get a little bit itchy. Yeah, just fine. Just want to get back to it as soon as possible. Yeah.
I notice it too, man. When I go off, I'm always going off course, so I do not have the temperament to stick with it. I just love beers and just burgers and shit too much. But I was trying to, like, I'm going to say 60-70% of the time stick with just like prioritizing meat, which is really easy to do here. I've been writing a post on it, which has been super interesting just for the Substack. It's just like diving into the different diets and just trying to piece together like a health blueprint after all this like sort of time trying to figure it out in my 20s. Not that I'm educated in it and you shouldn't ever listen to it, but no one should ever listen to it. But it's just interesting going down the whole rabbit hole of it. Now I've got all this time on my hand, and going to put a little post out shortly on it. But yeah, I remember you're the one that sparked my interest in it with the carnivore diet, and then just kind of continued diving down the whole alternative diet path from there and tried to figure out what worked for me. But yeah, it's interesting topic, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's like it's hard to go back once you realize how good you can feel on something. That's the thing. Like especially here, I never talk about it because it's still, but he's such like there's like a real kind of cult here of veganism and vegetarians, and just it's like I can't be bothered having the conversation. But like no one, it's almost funny whenever anyone like kind of sees you if you're in the gym or something and ask like, oh, like can you tell me about like nutritional plan or sauna here, and tell them, and then you see the color go out of their face. They're like, oh, I can't do that. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, fine. Like,
they just don't believe you. They're like, first thing they say is you'll get scurvy. And it's like, no, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah. No, I've long since given up trying to convince anyone. I feel great on it, so I do it. But yeah, I'll be the last person that ever kind of preaches it.
Yeah. Well, I'm enjoying it, but like I said, I'm not very strict with it. Got a couple of mates that are very strict with it. You're one of them. Tom's the other. He's just like mind of steel with it. Every time I travel with him, he's just boom, just like steak, hunts out steak everywhere. It's motivating. Yeah. It's good to be around you guys because it pulls me in line a bit.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll be that strict. Yeah. No, the Balkans was pretty bad.
How'd you manage it there? That's the interesting one. Like, no, because that'd be pretty meat heavy food there, I imagine, but it'd all be like with sauces.
Kind of, sauces and deep fried, and lots of like yogurt and dairy, and lots of like even just some of that. It's just so heavy, like lots of cheese, lots of deep fried like deep fried, they call it pregnanza, for it's like deep fried pancakes for breakfast. I was just like, yeah, I've almost, after staying with her parents, I was like, that was fun, but next time, like, we take them somewhere so that I can kind of control like where we go. We can go to a restaurant where I can pick where I want. Like
Yeah.
her mother just, since I can't talk to her just wanting to feed me all day does not does not work.
She just wants to
work for a day.
Wants to keep handing you
Yeah.
food and food just to. Oh, geez, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just literally following me around the room with a plate. Yeah. It just got silly in the end. Yeah.
I'd be
And then,
loving
yeah,
it, mate, and I'd stack on 20 kilos or something.
yeah, and then once she's finished, then the dad would start with the rakia. He'd like just follow me around with the bottle, trying to give me shots in the morning. Yeah.
It's like my girlfriend's dad here. He's a bit the same, but with cigars. He always pulls out a cigar, and then I've got to like the thin ones, and he's always kind of like offering me one, and I kind of feel bad when I say no, but I usually join in. But yeah, no good for the health.
Yeah. Always, yeah. I've got a bad connotation with cigars because every time they've come out, it's just been like the end of like a massive night that was already going to have a hangover, and then smoked a big cigar at the end, and then just like wake up and the next morning being like, oh God, what happened?
Man. I remember back in the younger days, smoking the Bali cigarettes. Geez, they were rough. Just when I was early 20s, stupid Aussie going to Bali. Only when I was drinking, you try them, and then you wake up the next day and geez, feel like you've just taken like 10 years off your life. What are you seeing in the markets at the moment, Ferg? What's catching your eye? Just like macro view.
I'm just super focused on kind of like what's the big thing after uranium? Like where's the value, and like really dial it in to have kind of like a ranking in my head of where I want to like be ready to start throwing cash once I take that first slice off. Like something I've been like got very little exposure to that I'm like really trying to get back up to speed on is like tankers and shipping. It's just like when I kind of left that trade, like I've got all the anyone that wants to sort of understand my thinking, all my old photos are still up, all my old videos from Crux days are still up on YouTube. And I was like right into that market sort of in 2020 and even into start 2021, and then just realized it was kind of quite a way off. I wasn't seeing the scrapping that I thought I would. And I was like, this is going to take a lot longer than I thought. So I bailed on that sector and went into coal. And but always in the back of my mind, I was like, there's always this kind of like waterfall that's going to happen with scrapping. But there's it's roughly, I think it's like from the top of my head from this year, it's like 450 dry weight tons. It's going to get scrapped, and then it goes up to like double that the year after, like 25, and then 26 it goes up to like damn near like 20, so like 4x's from there. That's kind of like just like an absolute hockey stick. And if you're keeping like the assumptions, you can even have pretty bearish assumptions on like oil demand growth, and still with the amount, just that big sort of whatever you call it, sort of like the food going through the python, like there's going to be a point at which that drop off is going to have to bite with rates. Like you can't just have like 1/3 of the fleet will get scrapped and not have a sort of a massive supply response. And so before with tankers, I was always like focused on all like the regulations, like IMO, what's going to be the propulsion system, what's going to cause sort of a inflection rates. Now I'm just taking big picture, which I like more as well, because I'm not sure when I'll start kind of like exiting uranium. I'm like really focusing on the big picture and really dialing in where I want to position myself, knowing that there's this avalanche that's definitely going to really start to bite by sort of 26, 27. And with sort of demand held up, you can't have the VLCCs, like 1/3 of the fleet just rolling off. there's been sort of a lack of scrapping as well, with a lot of the fleets going to the grey fleet or the ghost fleet, whatever you call them, like just going over to the with all the sanctions going, still hauling oil for Russia and just kind of being off the radar. And the focus has kind of been off VLCCs because there's been a lot of opportunities to trade the smaller tankers, since they obviously, like Suezmax can go through Suez Canal, and Alpha Max is more mobility, not having to go right around Africa. And so the spotlight's been off them, and I feel like everyone's kind of like trading the short-term opportunities but missing like the big macro picture. And the way shipping works is like the vast majority of the sector is made up by like the largest tankers. So the like the VLCCs, or if you're like talking dry bulk, like the Capesize, make up in a bull market. That's the rate that's really going to move once there isn't enough kind of total capacity. And so yeah, that's where I'm really interested at the moment. I'm kind of, it's one of the things Brad always taught me is like be very careful being too smart in what's going to outperform. And I feel like I've always tried to take that into my portfolio, is like I have decent amount of exposure to already to offshore, to oil via futures, obviously running still massive exposure in uranium, got some product tanker exposure, but there's like a big hole with the crude tanker exposure.
Oh, the dirty tankers?
Yeah, dirty tankers. Yeah.
So like DHT and what's
DHT.
the other one? ECO, ECO? Okay.
Yes, there's Euronav. There's another one that they just fell out. They were going to have a sort of merger with Frontline. Frontline's another. But yeah, DHT is probably one of the cleanest for exposure. Most of the others have sort of a mix of various tanker classes. DHT is just pure VLCCs. So yeah, and then I've just been signing up to some services again. Value Edge, they're just guys, Jay Mintzmeyer, that just does shipping. So just reading a lot of that and trying to really get my head around space. I've got a few friends that are all from back when I was right into shipping, like talking to shipbrokers. So starting to reach out to them. Yeah, and just making sure that I don't miss the sort of asymmetric setup here. Like I forget it. It's always hindsight knowing what goes the craziest. I still think it'll probably be the offshore spaces, just because that was where the most pain was, but don't know it for sure. And so having some exposure to all these areas that I think can outperform, similar to like the likes of silver, like just having just a foot in the door in case it is the crazy outperformer, and that's where the real spike happens. As long as you got a few percent, that's okay, not just completely missing it.
I've heard you say before that you wouldn't necessarily go into like silver equities if you're going to go into the sector. You'd pick an ETF. Is that like a more safer way you'd approach it?
Yeah, so this is just from PTSD from dealing with mining companies. I really don't want to have to jump back into mining companies. I've had enough exposure to mining companies via uranium in Africa now that once I exit, I'm like, it's always been aware of all your potential downsides, and there's like a lot of alternative realities with how I've run my portfolio where I could have been really stuffed up, like having like a kind of joke that only one sort of coup away from having been really wrecked in like Namibia, like the likes of kind of like what happened in Nigeria. Like the Global Atomic was like a no-brainer. You could have been digging into the details all day on that mine and you would have been spot on, and yet you kind of got stuffed up by politics, which is really hard to put a sort of a risk on. And so once coming out of uranium, don't really need that risk profile anymore, and I'm far more comfortable just kind of like assessing kind of drill ship, semi-sub, OSV, VLCC, like that stuff's not that hard to understand. Yeah, you can kind of work out where a new build cost would be. You can look at the pipeline and see that like half of all shipyard capacity kind of has gone bust over the last decade, and then from there you can see what's in the pipeline. And so with the a lot of the I'm blanking on the carriers,
Right.
sorry, anyway, all the freight, like not dry bulk, the largest sort of ship, container ships, sorry, that's what I was trying to wrap my head around. They had the sort of the bull market in 2022, and so they had elevated rates, and so they really packed out a lot of the remaining shipyard capacity and LNG tankers as well. And so between the two of them, there's no real shipyard capacity to build anything, and through till even late 26, even 27 is when you'd have to get an order in. And so when you consider that, and you consider the PTSD that some of these shipbuilders probably had from, like, it was a lot of the offshore stuff that sent them bust. So they're not going to be rushing back into any of it anyway. And so I think it's going to be, you have to see such crazy day rates before anyone even considers building another drill ship. So I think they're probably the last to get rebuilt. And VLCCs, so even if the rates went berserk tomorrow, they can't get an order in until, say, 27, and then it's going to take 2 years to build one of these things. It gives you a long runway for rates to really hit the wall and just keep air pocketing higher. And that's kind of, it's like the piece I have in my mind that I want to write soon, is just like how kind of simple a lot of the stuff is when you think about, it's just, we're in this consolidation, like working through what like capacity or supply there is in the sector, and then there's a point at which you're going to hit the wall, and then you're going to realize how hard it is to bring new supply on. Like, it's where we're at with uranium now. Like all the fallacies of, the Kazakhs will just flood the market. Like just watching them all sort of fall apart.
I actually bought into that about the Kazakhs quite recently. Last year, I met up with a ex-Arano manager for Australia, and he basically managed to convince me that they can just turn on the taps. And this is obviously pre the big move in the uranium spot price of late. So he was basically completely wrong. And I remember just listening to him, though. He's so convincing. I was just like, yeah, I can see why people would listen to him and believe what he said. Like, if I hadn't obviously gone, like, listen to yourself and some others, I would have bought right into it. But then I was just like, no, I think I would just back the conviction I've had for, I don't know, 6 years, that's all just bullshit. But yeah, it's it's going. Uranium's it's just so volatile. It's actually doing my head in on Twitter at the moment. Can't even look at some of those accounts, mate. You've done the best thing, is getting off that app. Tell you what, it's just super toxic after a while.
Yeah, I don't really. Yeah, that was just. I find Substack amazing because just the validation of someone having to like pay, you just remove all the trolls immediately. Like that was one of the thing that's like amazing about it as well, is like, and also with like Twitter's got super frustrating how they're kind of like, you can tell what they're trying to do. They're trying to optimize your engagement by, like, if you click on a post that you're actually interested, often like they're trying to redirect you with some other post below. Like, it's not
I've
even
seen that. There's got that discovery bit at the bottom where it's like,
it fucking drives me nuts. And then it's just the way I mainly use Twitter now is, if I'm interested in something, I'm like literally getting on it to search. I mean, getting way better at the advanced Twitter search function. So I'm like literally putting a few accounts that I trust and seeing if they've ever mentioned something, like, sort of like, I don't know, I was looking before, I was typing like Jay Mincemeyer, like his Twitter handle, and then type like DHT, like what's he written about it, like what's his take, and like being very very like kind of detailed with how I use it, not just scrolling. Because scrolling,
so powerful for that. Like scrolling's terrible.
Yeah.
It's like it's just like using Instagram or another one of those junk social media apps. But if you actually use it for searching stock tickers and stock history and what some experts have to say on it, it's unbeatable for that.
Yeah, and using hashtags, like it's just got, when I started out on it, it was just fantastic. Like I was just seeing the people I followed, and I had like a really good sort of follow account, and it was just interesting tweet after interesting tweet. And now it's just, you jump on and like you like within a 2 minutes you're like watching some stupid like cat video or something. Like you just like kind of like the YouTube like algorithm of like just dragging you into engaging shit that's just shit. Like it's like, how do I end up here? So now it's always like hashtag uranium, or like something that will at least like dial into tweets and then just get out of it again just as quickly. Like just go in there with a purpose. Because if you scroll, it's just a sewer now, which is really sad. Because it was so good before.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's just, yeah, I've just got to remember to spend less time on it. But yeah, I like keeping up with a lot of the Argentina stuff. So that takes up a bit of time. That's basically my news source for everything Argentina. So I use it for that. But yeah, I don't like it when I go down the path of like using it like I use Instagram or something, and then I've got Instagram as well, so I'm obviously scrolling through that, and then I'm doing the same thing on Twitter. It's just too much social media, and yeah, it's just,
you don't get anything good done. It's not useful. Yeah, I see like it's like a constant fighting with me. Like just, I think Instagram's like the brain killer of our generation. Like used to like see people reading more, and now everyone's just addicted and scrolling. Yeah,
completely nuts.
I even even with my like I've got like a random like Instagram account that I just used to follow like Mia's brand and my like sister and you and like one or two other mates, and like it's just so damn good at like giving me stuff that like just drags me in. Like it's like, oh, you're interested in jiu-jitsu, how about this new move? And then before I know it, I'm like, I've been like absolutely hauled into the thing for like half an hour when I'm like, how did this happen? Because I don't follow anyone, I don't have any like, how's the algorithm this good at being like, oh, I'll just haul him back in with like more and more of what he's engaged with. I'm like yeah, it's kind of scary how much
it's so true. And then think of all the people that actually don't realize that that's happening to them, and they're not actually aware of the whole process. They're just like mindlessly, you see it all the time when you go out in public, you're just mindlessly going through it. It's just, yeah, it's the most unproductive thing. I don't mind using it. I obviously use it every day, but yeah, I'm more aware of it now and trying to just cut back on it and go exercise and just go outside and just keep busy and be productive. But yeah, back to Twitter. It's like I said, just searching for stock tickers and using the hashtags is it's been very good for me. And yeah, actually, the opportunities that Twitter's brought, it's been really good for me. Like this is how I got this gig to fly out to this project tomorrow. So you can't I can't really say too much bad stuff about it.
Yeah, well, I'm the same. Like I've got everything I've kind of created online is thanks to Twitter, and like just putting thoughts out there and having people engage. It's the saddest thing is that sort of that like back and forth that used to happen under posts, it seems to have really died. The this like good engagement and ideas, there is still some, but even like some people just constantly put out quality, like a Judd Arnold's one. Like I love
that's great.
Tommy Deepwater. Like there's some guys that just like, I don't know how they like hang in there. Like most of them get like burnt out after you do it for a while. It was like I was just like on there for, it was from COVID for probably 2-3 years. I was just like just constantly putting out thoughts and getting great stuff back. And then yeah, you just, as your following grows, you just kind of get this like army of trolls and people that are just even not trolls. Like some of the most annoying ones are just like people that just guess to you the whole time. I've got this like whole theory around there's people that just should never invest. Like they're literally just wired wrong for investment. I've got like a handful of people that have like watched me with my investments. They've obviously like understood the thesis. They've never pulled the trigger. As soon as the things like really worked, like they're the sort of guys that will like watch uranium and have decided that it's finally safe to get in now, and then like scream about this big pullback now. Like they will have watched like coal and like absolutely refused and probably abused even mention it. And then when Peabody went on a 10x, then they would have dumped like half their account of Peabody and then watched it like draw like down half and then run around. Like they're just their entire mentality is just not for investing. And then because they can't take responsibility, they just like scream to high heaven when they jump in when it's comfortable and then just get wrecked by the market. Yeah.
Well, I'm
cannon
very,
fodder.
very wary of. I've got well, not a lot, but a few companies approaching me now in messages on Twitter, just been like, kind of want me to get involved with a project just from like a geology side, and I'm pretty sure they just want me to promote it on Twitter. And I've actually noticed that with another stock I'm invested in, which is absolutely getting hammered out of favor. And I remember I put a tweet out about it, and yeah, pretty sure I moved the little float it had for that day. And then I'm a bit worried I'm doing it now with Pampa. So I've got to be very careful with that because I'm not in the game to pump any stocks and then get out. That's the last thing I want a reputation for. It's absolutely not what I'm about. And so, yeah, it's all new for me. So I'm just trying to figure out how I approach it when these people are approaching me, because I'm getting these people just sending me random emails and messages on Twitter and being like, hey man, do you want to do a Zoom call? We want to invest in Argentina because of the spotlight in Argentina. And they see a geologist on Twitter. And I'm just basically a content creator on Twitter these days. I'm just putting out just random photos. I'm not even adding that much value to anyone's life. So they're obviously seeing that through the engagement because they're getting a lot of attention. And then these people are reaching out because of the spotlight on Argentina. And now I'm just kind of like, what do I do about all this? Do I like? I think I've had 3 like Zoom calls this week. So I had 2 yesterday, just with people interested in Argentina, like quite qualified people too, with some money from Europe or from the States or from Australia. So it's an interesting angle or position I'm in here, but yeah, it's good, I think, for now.
You'll just say like I think one of my favorite sayings was always like, it was that one from Buffett. It was just like takes a lifetime to build a reputation, and like it's like you can ruin it all in one moment. And that's like all those, like I must have like in my inbox, there must be like at least like 1,000 of those. Like
I was gonna say, mate, how's your approach with this? Do people do they then get like nasty if you don't write back or anything? Because I feel guilty like I've got to reply like, oh, they're reaching out, because once upon a time, like this is 6 months ago, no one was interested in what I was doing here. And then all of a sudden I've got like this interest with Malay coming into government here in Argentina spotlight, and my stupid state photos going like almost viral level. And then now I just feel like a duty to get back to everybody. And then like half the time it's just people seeking like self, or just like to use your reputation to get themselves ahead, really. And it's, I'm figuring it out slowly.
My only thing is I like will always try and get back to someone if I can see it's like genuine and I'm trying to help them. But like, I don't even engage. It was always my thing from the start was I just like delete everything that if like everything you were mentioning, any sort of like someone suggested any side deal or any side stock or any promotion or anything, I just delete it instantly. It's just like, I'm not even going to finish reading your message. I'll just delete it. Don't even want it taking up space in my head, because I know there's like, it's why it's so hard to build like a reputation in finances, because it's such a scummy whole outfit, really. Like there's so many temptations with that, and why it's so rare when you find someone that is actually just genuine and just doing what they say they're doing. It's like what Brad always taught me. He's just like, just be a straight shooter, and like that's what will get you ahead over a long time, because people can see it. And people are getting like, I'd like to think people are getting better at like sensing it on the internet as well. Like all the kind of the crypto scammers, like eventually are getting called out. The worst thing that actually happens to me now is because like they just know I'm just going to delete them. Is they create like the fake account of me and then pump it. And then, yeah, the amount of those I've deleted, honestly, it must be 100 of those.
Jeez, I've had about 5, I think. When I had a few, I had to report, and they were just sending crypto scams. But it's funny because I was writing everyone in Spanish. I'll never write anyone in Spanish. I was like, guys, come on, look at me. Do I look like I speak good Spanish? And I'll approach you in Spanish. But yeah, it was funny when I had it. I remember the first one, I was kind of like, oh, awesome. Maybe I'm starting to make it here. I've got a scammer. And then I saw a couple of my photos like showing up on Reddit and like random like internet chat places like claiming their own work. It's like, oh, I'm in Buenos Aires, and then they'd snap one of the photos I took of my girlfriend. It's just so weird to see, but yeah, it's just a whole new world coming out of like mining in Australia into this sort of environment. It's just strange for me, but slowly figuring it out.
Here's a strange one for you. I didn't even think I'd ever be this scenario. It was had a guy that created a fake profile of me on Substack and then paid to become like a paying subscriber. Because I saw, I was like, that's weird. Like someone liked a post that was like, Ferg likes a post. I was like, I didn't like that post. Like, what's that? And then had to click on the profile and then worked out it was like a fake profile of me using my profile photo. And then like, clicked on it and then it was like paying subscriber. I was like, what the fuck?
At least he's paid for it. Technically,
I know. I was like,
is he doing anything wrong?
Like, I don't know. Yeah, just refunded and deleted it. Yeah, it's just
Oh, that's funny, mate. Crazy world. I'm just starting to get into, but yeah, it's interesting. My days are quite interesting these days, so I don't mind it.
That's the main thing.
I like replying to people and helping people out where I can, which is quite rewarding. So I want to keep that going as long as I can.
Yeah, well, I'm starting to have it more and more here. I guess because some people know this is where I live, and there was like I was sitting next to a guy in a restaurant the other day, and he was like I don't want this to come across as like too stalkery, but like I've been following you and subscribed to you for forever, and like I've got like a young baby just like you, and you've allowed us to like quit our jobs and move here to do it all. So I just wanted to say thank you. Like, can I get this meal for you? And I was like, yeah, sure. Then that's fucking awesome.
I reckon you would have hundreds of those people. I can count like 3 or 4 of my mates who but are in like similar position to me, where we've just like listened to you for years and got on board with your whole investing thesis, and now we can sort of live how we want to, and we're not and we've kind of just broken away from that like society norms, and we're much happier. So I can imagine you have hundreds of them, man, and I imagine you get approached in Bali quite often with it.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, it's happening more often here. There's just obviously a lot more people here again now.
Yeah, let's get back to stocks, mate, because I want to know what you reckon about dividends at the moment. What do you think about some? Like, I know that the Aussie coal names have got their earnings coming up this week, like Yancoal, New Hope, Whitehaven. Do you actually have a dividend portfolio, or is you just sort of hunting out that next asymmetric trade?
So dividends are going to play a big role moving forward, but at the moment it's still like focused on asymmetry, like that they have to stand on their own. So, but I've definitely been getting more interested in the role of like as I exit uranium, like definitely upping the income side of the portfolio, but I'm not 100% focused on it yet. Well, I still see so much opportunity in in offshore and tankers. Granted, like tankers, you can actually get a great dividend as well. Some of these guys that like really pay out a lot. So yeah, dividends will play a bigger and bigger role. Like I was going over one company, they Horizon Oil, and I was like, this looks like it'll just be like a dividend cash cow, moving forward. And I can see a time after offshore and the tanker market's kind of really ripped, where I would just be in sort of a big sort of coal portfolio with a few sort of cash cow type plays, whether it's like the Horizon Oil, that would be similar to what you kind of wrote in your last Substack, with having like a really high dividend portfolio. But as for now, I'm not really too focused on dividends, because it doesn't move the needle as much as nailing this like multi-bagger stuff does. Like it's nice because you can look at something like young coal, which has been frustrating, and then you add up your dividends, you're like, it's actually not that bad. Even if the thing's gone sideways, you're collecting a nice fat dividend year after year. It's kind of, and it's always nice to have a bit of capital coming in to
I just think
to reinvest
the cash flow, peace of mind from them, it's just so attractive, especially what I wanted to highlight with the Aussie tax brackets and franking credits.
Yeah.
Just like if you can get to a point where you've got like a significant dividend income, and you can keep your taxes to a minimum, because taxes just kill you. Like I'm just going through it all, adding some of my taxes, and I'm like, anyway, I can sort of pay less tax. Obviously, we've talked about how difficult it is to leave Australia, and I'm just trying to like minimize my tax. What about those stocks getting like a re-rating in the short term to something like, I don't know, because they still trade at extremely low multiples, and like Elliott Management, for instance, with Peabody, I know it's an American coal play, but they're just about done selling down their position. I think they've got like 6 million shares left. They've just dumped 9 million the other day. And a lot of people sort of saying that might be holding the share price back substantially. It probably is. So yeah, do you think there's any short-term re-rating for those coming up?
Not really.
Yeah, just a slow grind.
I think it's a slow grind. Hopefully, they've all seen what AMR and now Console's doing with buybacks. They're gonna, almost like prefer to like select. I've often thought for coal, like probably underweight dividends and overweight like who's buying back most stock. That's what I really hope Whitehaven turns into, is more buybacks. Obviously, there is a role for dividends, especially if you can, as you say, if you're an Aussie and you can get the frank, that's amazing. But just for straight performance, I think some of the guys that are going to start cornering their floats with buybacks will be amazing. I hope that's the future for Whitehaven. But yeah, like overall, the sort of the outlook for coal's pretty average for the next year now, especially thermal. I think pretty keep collecting dividends and keep cruising along, but I don't see any big re-ratings. I think both Peabody and Whitehaven grind higher over the year, just on the back of Peabody in the back of buybacks, and but then again, it's kind of going to have a rough time with its domestic coal market in the US. That's not looking too hot. I'm not selling them, but I don't expect big upside. If anything, I've thought about like rotating some of the more sort of like Console, rotate that into the likes of like a Warrior or an AMR, possibly even Fungella, like that. Problem is, when I look at them, they're still so bloody cheap. Like Fungella's just all cash. it's just
all cash.
Just like So overall, they're still keeping their spot, but as they've shrunk to be a smaller portion of the portfolio and uranium's taken off, they're not going to be getting the early capital. The early capital from uranium will be going into offshore and tankers. Yeah.
Great. So that's good to know. So still looking at offshore and shipping. No, you haven't changed your view on rig. Still just hovers around $5, going nowhere. Adding to it or anything?
Yes, rig's interesting. Like I wish I hadn't gone in with such a heavy position, knowing that it's trading like a sort of a slightly out of the money call option that's just down the road from expiry, and so it's just price fluctuates all over the place, and so should have understood that its inherent volatility was there to be taken advantage of, and to be quite methodical taking like a position in it, because it's like everyone that's saying it's insolvent, silly. It's like
it's not.
It is. It can't service its debt over a long time at 450 day rates. But there's no way that that's going to be an issue with it. I think it's got 400 million the next 2 years of maturities, and then the big ones like 2 billion, like 2027. That would be the concern, and the rates will have inflected by then, and it's got massive talk to sort of the rates inflecting. So I'm kind of viewing it as any big volatility in it is like a buying opportunity. I just wish I didn't have kind of like a full allocation. If it gets really silly, might have to look to the option markets. I know it does have the December 2026, which probably be enough margin of error. But I think it's going to probably be a rough ride with it, but it's ultimately gonna, if you can stomach the volatility and sit on some pretty stinky bids for it, I think come out really looking great by sort of late 2025. But it'll be a rough ride till then.
Yeah, they've got earnings coming up this Friday, so it'll be very interesting to read through that. What else was I going to say? Just one guy wants to know if you're looking at tin again, just because of what's happening with Indonesia and the lack of restricting supply coming out of there, or there's some development recently in the news.
I am, but I just don't think it earns a place in the portfolio at the moment. Yeah.
Okay,
I had another
elsewhere.
Metals X, and I was like, I could buy this, or I could buy some more sort of small offshore plays and stuff. And I was just like, it's a no-brainer for me that these are just more attractive here in pretty much every way. I think tin's at the front of the line if I ever wanted to consider that whole complex of I've got some people like Paulo Macro who I chat to on WhatsApp a bit. He's like a big copper bull, and I still I just like if I was to do like sort of the rankings of it, kind of like asymmetry at the moment, it would probably be like offshore, and you'd have like OSVs followed by like drill ships, and then like tankers. You probably at the moment clean product would probably be next, and then you'd have dirty tankers, particular VLCCs. Probably above even those would be some of the little shipbuilders that I've talked about. And then from there, you get to wanting to have a small silver position, and then I'd be back to probably re-enter Metals X or Alphaman, and then from there I'd start looking at like maybe some copper. But again, like it's just you have to go into those small companies to get torque. I was like playing around with bull call spreads on some of the big copper companies that have a decent option market, and the volatility is high. They're not that attractive. You go out 2026 and you can only kind of get a bull call spread for 3-4 times payoff. Like I'm not
okay.
That's not that interesting when I can see a lot of these small offshore guys like 10 bagging pretty easy. Kind of like I always come back to MMA offshore. Like I love plays like that you just no one talks about it. It's not on anyone's radar. It doesn't have any big moves really. It just quietly does like 2-3%, and it's as smooth a ride as you're going to get in the market. So it's just like ground away to be like whatever it is now for me now 6-7 bagger.
Probably a nicer ride for peace of mind as well, rather than these like uranium, for instance, where you just see these huge moves up to the upside, then you check your portfolio, the endorphins start flowing, and the next day it's straight back down and less than what the gain was, and you just, yeah, it's a mind game. But yeah, after 6 years, I'm pretty used to it now.
Yeah, I just don't look at it like, honestly, it's kind of, yeah, the running joke is if you're really excited about your portfolio balance and you look at it sitting at an all-time high, you'll probably have like top ticked it, and it won't go back there for another
Oh mate, it's
few months or a year. Yeah,
that sounds very familiar. Yeah.
yeah.
It's been a hectic start to the year. With my portfolio still sits about 80% uranium, so yeah,
good place to be.
Yeah,
You won't be complaining.
No, it's nice that it's all starting to work out. And yeah, this time last year, I remember I was just telling another mate I was quite stressed. It was a huge difference in my basically my paper net worth compared to what it is today. And I remember I was literally in this same apartment. I was in Buenos Aires. I just moved here, and I was kind of like, geez, what am I going to do? Like, do I go back to work? And all these things are coming in my mind, and I was like, it just sort of like, it sort of affected how I went about my day and the decisions I made. And then you've just got to, like you always say, mate, you just got to zoom out and just let the thesis play out, and just take your mind off it and have conviction.
Yeah. It's easier said than done. Like, it's something I've always tried to, and with limited success, is like how you feel about yourself is how your portfolio is going. Like, it's kind of
so true.
Because I've like made it even worse in the fact that kind of like my like identity is almost tied to it in a way. Like, my business is tied to it, like, which is kind of a fucker when you think about it, because like normally like your portfolio and your profession would be like separate. So like you could be like having a ripper of a time in your portfolio, and your profession's going bad, and so they're kind of like hedging each other. But like mine's just like an extension of like what my portfolio is doing is exactly what my business is doing. So if like portfolio is getting like wrecked, then probably like just getting shit with the business, like, oh, why are you fucking this up? Like, why is this happening? And then like on the other side of it, like when the portfolio is ripping, the business is going really well as well. So it's kind of,
that's why I found writing about
this.
It's
a tough game.
That's why I found writing about this different topics I write about on my Substack quite rewarding, because it just allows me to switch off from watching the market, and I can focus on like some area. Like, I just gave Australia a big bash about COVID in one of my articles. I just went to town on it, like just taking all my frustrations out from the COVID time on paper and on my Substack. It actually felt very very rewarding, and I was glad when I got it all out. And it's actually just a different part of rather than just focusing on the market, it's just nice to have that on the side to for a distraction. One thing I wanted to mention before,
I guess mine's jiu-jitsu.
Of course. Yeah. Well, I've got obviously go to the gym and spend time
taking frustrations out.
But that's the best. Like, I get sometimes go sometimes just go to
some frustrations out. Yeah, mine's
sorry, mate. Yeah.
So mine's usually just a juiced up Russian. I'll be like, okay, I'm angry at the world.
Mine doesn't fight back. Mine doesn't fight back. It's just a big bag that swings. It's I can I don't get hurt or anything. It's nice. So I have to put my gloves up. So one thing I wanted to mention, because I thought it was one of the best interviews I've ever seen you do. It was on the Vancouver Resource Investment channel with that market sniper. Did you?
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. If anyone hasn't watched it, you've got to go and watch it. I thought it was just awesome, because that guy was obviously quite a different view to you, especially in the end, and you were just like debating him, and like I thought you kind of made him look a little bit silly the way you said things. He was especially on the whole depopulation thing and the Western centric. I just thought it was kind of how you explained how we can get very Western centric, and then you got to remember there's like X amount of people in the developing world that need to move up through the energy curve and the roadmap that we've done. And then his counter argument was that depopulation in the West was going to outpace the developing world, the developing world's growing population, which I just thought was crazy. Like stats don't show that at all. But yeah, that was a great interview, mate. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's interesting because I always have those, like I almost know that I'm going to have that debate with like the hard money crowd, like the real like guys that just got their portfolio full of gold. It's almost like a kind of like they have to keep like rationalizing like how the like their worldview kind of needs that to happen for them to get the outcome they need.
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
always it's always it becomes quite Malthusian, and I always like it's just don't see it. Like when we even talked after that as well, and he's just, I guess it attracts kind of that kind of like bearish person, and they always have really smart arguments as well, which always makes you kind of sound, it's kind of hard to argue against it because you always sound less intelligent just being optimistic, like no, it'll work out, like the world's always growing, like developing markets always growing, and they always sound smarter, be like like you're missing like how negative things are, and people always like kind of generally find that more intelligent. So it is hard to it's hard to argue against it, but then at the same time I've been arguing against that kind of like the middle crowd for like years now, and it's I've got a lot of shit like right from the start. When I started Twitter, I was like, people were always like, how much of your portfolio is gold and silver? I was like, once I get rich enough, I'll have a vault somewhere with maybe a quarter of my net worth and some gold and silver just as like insurance. But I don't think it's how you, I think it's how you preserve money. I think it's how you make a lot of money, and that's kind of been proven out to date. Like uranium, coal, like just I think it's further down the like this sort of idea of OPEX commodities versus CAPEX commodities. It's kind of been like a lot safer to play it by stuff that you know people will need and will need in far greater quantities moving forward. So that's why I kind of always keep coming back to the oil, coal, uranium. It's just it's an easy bet to make, and it's often seen it as well. Like I think living in Bali, you just see how everyone is just trying to get ahead, and all they want here is they want their mobility, they want the Western lifestyle, which all they kind of their version of it is just to have like aircon at night, to be comfortable, to be cool, to be, and you just kind of expand that across like India and the rest of Asia, and you understand how big that demand is. And
Africa, you look at what Africa's going to do, and even Latin America is exactly the same. The more traveling you do, exactly what you just said, the more you realize people just want to move up the ladder of development and have all the comforts, the air cons, the cars, all the really energy intensive products. And it makes a lot of sense. And then you just look at population growth and predictions, and it's quite a simple thesis or trend.
Well, it is as well with like it's always kind of some of the points I make. I always feel they're like almost silly. Like some of the stuff, like kind of the observation across like when I was seeing a lot of the demand curves they're drawing for renewables across Asia, like all the demand here is at night for like growth in AC and growth and same with India, and they're like pretending like a massive solar build out's gonna, it's like the absolute polar opposite of when they need their power. And there's it's like really simple points, and no one seemed to refute them. No one, it's kind of crazy how far you can get with just very simple observations, and then really putting your balls on the line with investments. Because that's the other thing with everyone that argues renewables. Show me your portfolio. show me your wind and solar companies. I'd love to see how you've done over the last 2 years. Yeah,
it's exactly that. And you always feel like you're the bad guy when you bring this stuff up. Like I just have it repeatedly here when I meet new people, and I bring up that like I enjoy investing in coal and oil and gas, and uranium, and I don't think renewables are like a realistic way to go down for any country at scale. So yeah, it's just that whole thing about being contrarian, and then you always feel like a bit of a bad guy. Mate, that's all I'll take up today. I really appreciate your time. We'll see you again in a month's time.
Yeah, lovely chats. Cool. Looking forward
Thanks,
to it.
mate.